So what really helped me is getting to ovulate again. Even though I got my period really soon after I got off the pill, I wasn't ovulating, so I wasn't getting any progesterone. I had tons of estrogen that wasn't being put back into check. So what helps with progesterone production? Managing stress is number one. So I was doing really high intensity workouts, resting very little, and I was eating in a way that wasn't really supporting the amount of activity I was doing, and I was just eating foods that weren't supportive in general to my overall physiology. So managing stress and supporting the nutritional foundation, eating really frequently, focusing on vitamin C rich foods too, making sure you're getting enough minerals, so sodium, potassium, magnesium, also making sure you're eating enough carbohydrates. That's huge. That will help get the stress down. Enough bioavailable protein, fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K, and sunlight and sleep are all really, really important stuff. It sounds really basic, but this will really, really help. And as far as the mental side of things go, I know that acne can be really debilitating. Like, I wanted to hide my face for like 2 years, and so I totally get it. But what really helped me is just remembering that this is totally temporary, and that the body does really, truly want to heal. So if we trust our body, it will. This is one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have. They don't trust their body. So just remember, it's temporary. Let your body do its thing, give it space, and it'll happen. I think this is the biggest load of bull crap, to be honest with you. So, I've seen so many practitioners and even books out there that are like, eat according to your cycle, eat beans and salmon on this week, and whatever you do, resist cravings at all costs, which is totally bullcrap. So, I think that we should be supporting ourselves nutritionally pretty much consistently throughout our cycle. We're going to need about the same kind of nutritionally supportive foods throughout our cycle. The only thing is, our amounts might change. So when we ovulate, we actually, our caloric needs can go up a bit. And so if we're not supporting that with quality carbohydrates, with quality protein, with quality minerals and vitamins, especially like salt, we're gonna feel crappy. So that's really the only difference, I would say, is we need more support in our luteal phase, but that doesn't mean we need to drive ourselves crazy with I can only eat this on this week, and I can only eat this on that week, and check boxes, whatever. Just eat more, listen to your body and eat more when it needs more. And if your body is having intense cravings during your luteal phase or any kind of phase that you're in, listen to them. It's your body telling you that it needs something. So that's some food for thought. So seed cycling, I'm going to do a post on this soon. It can give you a false sense of improvement because PUFAs, which are in seeds, so polyunsaturated fats, they're very immunosuppressive. So they kind of suppress symptoms, suppress problems, all while increasing your estrogen load. So you're getting this symptom suppression all while your estrogen is building. And so it's just not a good combination. So that's probably why, you experience other symptoms too, is eventually the scale is going to tip. That's not to say I haven't tried it. I did, but I know better now, and there's way more effective things to focus on and focus your energy on over seed cycling. Great question. There are very specific vitamins that you should definitely be getting during pregnancy. I'm working on something super special with the preconception PT. Sign up for the wait list in the link in my bio to find out more. That's an interesting question. So the body really does try every single thing that it can to sustain a pregnancy, and it will do it at the cost of you, at the mother. But vegans themselves, they may not have always been vegan. So they have this reserve in their body of vitamins and minerals that they're just slowly draining. But there will come a point where they experience problems, and sometimes it comes at the cost. It can come at the cost of the child's health too. So, just because a vegan can have a baby doesn't mean it's not affecting them or the child in some way. There are plenty of vegans that have had babies that I know and the child has eczema or, digestive disorders, autoimmune disorders. And so, just because the vegan can sustain the pregnancy doesn't always mean it's going to be the healthiest pregnancy either. I personally think bee pollen is excellent. It's a great source of vitamins A, D, and E, I believe, and B vitamins, and vitamin C, which contains copper. I will personally be taking this when I'm pregnant, although it's already part of my diet pretty much daily. I would just check with your doctor, because conventional medicine, or the conventional way of thinking about nutrition, I think this is considered a hazardous supplement or piece of nutrition, but do what feels right for you. Not at all. Red meat contains so many other minerals like zinc and selenium and B vitamins. It's such a nutrient-dense food. It's not worth avoiding it at all. I definitely recommend to my clients that they get red meat in once a day. It's so healing and such a metabolic food. There are other ways to address the iron concerns. For example, if you have a cup of coffee with your steak or, red meat, whatever, coffee has iron blocking properties. So just a thought, raw milk does too, lactoferrin. So some tips there. Milk thistle can be nice, a nice supplement, but it's not foundational to liver detoxification, in my opinion. So, I would make sure you're eating frequently enough at the right frequency that makes sense for you, eating the right carbohydrate and protein and fats ratios, getting enough bioavailable copper in your diet, making sure your stress is kept to a minimum. Those are way better things to, help with detoxification than just milk thistle. I would check out my post titled Histamine, the Ultimate Hormone of Alarm. There will be probably some helpful information there. One thing you may also want to consider, is your house moldy, or do you have like Wi-Fi on? You may have a mold or Wi-Fi sensitivity. EMF sensitivity is very real. Yeah, totally. So what I see the most is that it's a vitamin A deficiency, or like an imbalance between fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, K. Sometimes it has to do with zinc, but not always. It's usually vitamin A. So I'd probably be looking at what you're eating or supplementing with first, but it's hard to say because I don't know you. So those are some things to think about. Anything autoimmune related is going to have probably an iron component, an estrogen component, and a big part, usually stress component for sure. So we need to look at you as a whole, what you do throughout the day, what you eat, and from there make nutrition and lifestyle changes to bring down the stress that's driving this autoimmune disorder. But there's no like one supplement or food that's going to help. It needs to be looked at holistically. They work beautifully for some people, and for others, not so much. Like, it doesn't do anything for them. So there's only one way to find out, and that's through trying. So give it a shot. So these are kind of like a waste of money, waste of time. If you take these, or taking them because you think they're going to help you anti-age, probably just chasing your tail. I highly recommend checking out the MitoLife Radio podcast called Estrogen, Progesterone, and Resveratrol. It's a great podcast. Your mind will be blown. It definitely can be. If it were to persist for a long period of time, then at that point I might think, maybe there's something going on, but it can be part of the detoxification process for sure. So just hang in there. So that's actually exactly what cellulose does. Humans cannot digest cellulose that's in plants. And so, we're often told, eat lots of greens because it bulks up your poop. It'll make pooping easier. But what it's doing is it's also slowing down our digestion, causing lots of problems, bacterial problems, thyroid problems. And so it's giving us a false sense that we can poop better. But, in reality, it's making things a lot worse. For this reason, I don't really understand the obsession with eating obscene amounts of fiber that is recommended by practitioners very frequently in the alternative health world. I do believe some fiber is important, but these obscene amounts are not going to help anyone. And so what happens is our digestive system becomes pretty damaged. And when you remove the cellulose, when you remove the fiber, you get to see what's really going on. So you may have smaller poops, but that's fine. If you have really, really hard poops, it's telling you, hey, my digestive tract is pretty damaged. And so the idea is not to add more fiber into the diet to damage it more. You're going to need to probably do some healing, eat metabolic foods that are easy to digest, until you add those very indigestible fibers back in, if at all. Everyone's different. Some people are going to do better with starches. Some people are going to do better with fruits. Some people need both in a good ratio. So I would experiment, but I do still think that fruits are worth eating. So who said the population has high sodium? We know that the population has high blood pressure, but what is the antidote to high blood pressure? It's usually salt. It's because we're so stressed out, and salt is one of the first minerals to go when we are stressed. This is why adding salt, a little bit of salt here and there to water, to food, can really help bring the stress levels down and start to bring us back into balance. Most people that I work with on HTMA, so hair tissue mineral analysis, their sodium levels are completely tanked. So what way are you referring to? What are you eating? If you apply another diet to your life, it's taking you out of the equation, and that's why most diets fail. So really, the ideal diet is going to be different from person to person. That's why it's so important to find what works for you, not just what you see someone else doing or what somebody else tells you to do. So I don't believe in calcium supplementation. Also keep in mind that calcium carbonate, it takes 11 steps to convert that into calcium bicarbonate, so it requires a lot of energy. So just some things to think about. The kind of progression I would do is probably start with body weight and then move on to resistance bands, and then you can move on to dumbbells and then barbells, which are my favorite. But you have to make sure that you have a foundation there, strength foundation there first. So throughout the movements that you're doing and learning, form is king and technique is king. So do not try to add weight unless you have good technique. That's super important. Watch yourself in the mirror, watch some videos online, tutorials. Some really good body weight movements to start with are an air squat, push up, pull up, and yeah, I would start there. This is usually a symptom of imbalanced blood sugar or inability to store glycogen, so sugar in the liver. So when that happens, our body basically releases stress hormones to bring our blood sugar back up because it's dropped overnight. And what happens? Stress hormones, also called glucocorticoids, release sugar into the bloodstream. So you're not only getting sugar into your blood to help bring it back up, but you're getting stress hormones which wake you up. That's why you probably are waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. They're there to keep you alert. So what you need to do is either eat more frequently, probably to start, and really build up your liver's ability to store glycogen, because that's what's going to get you through the night. Also, minerals are super important. Minerals can really make a huge difference. They're foundational to any kind of function in our body. So if this is something that's been going on for a really long time, I'd highly recommend getting a hair tissue mineral analysis to see what you're actually depleted in and what you need. Meat for sure, eggs, dairy as well, and fruits are really great sources of B vitamins. You can also add some things like bee pollen and brewer's yeast too. This could be a lot of things. Our gums and dental health are really closely tied to our gut. So the health of our gut will often reflect what's going on in our mouth. Also, fat-soluble vitamins and minerals too are huge for our gums and our teeth. So I would need to probably look at you as a whole person to see what your nutrition is like, what kind of stress levels you have, because everything's related. I might also see a biological dentist. Conventional dentistry is actually pretty harmful to health. If you have to have serious work done, so a biological dentist might be a better route to avoid any sort of harmful medications or really procedures that don't need to be done. This could be a lot of things, electrolyte imbalance, which is usually the case, adrenal dysfunction, medication. So again, I have to look at you as a whole person to really help figure this out. Boosting your metabolism and getting your body to actually utilize the cholesterol that is being produced or ingested, but usually produced. I would check out my post titled High Cholesterol, High Iron, Low Copper, and maybe the one that says High Cholesterol, Low Thyroid as well. Those are two really good posts that should help. I actually got a lot of questions on toenail fungus this time. I don't know why, but it's kind of funny. So toenail fungus can be caused by a lot of things, personal hygiene, the environment that you're providing. So fungus will grow. It'll grow in warm and moist environments. So keep in mind how you're wrapping up your toe, or the environment that you're giving it. Iron also feeds fungus and pathogens like that. So are you overdoing it? And yeast as well. So it could also be candida or some other type of fungal infection that's happening on your toe. And candida can manifest in certain things. So looking at your overall physiological health. overall physiology, especially if this is a recurring issue, we're going to want to look at you as a whole person. I would check out my buddy True Strength platform for some help with this. It can be, but not if it's chronic. So, what did you introduce first? I have questions. What did you introduce first? How much of it did you introduce? It's really important to go low and slow with things that you've cut out for a long time. Getting off the pill is going to look very different from female to female. It really depends how depleted you were before you went on it, how long you've been on it. So those are kind of questions I have, like what have you been doing up until this point? But it's really important to probably talk to your doctor and either work with them or some practitioner on how to start replenishing to prepare your body to come off and to help smooth out the rebound that could potentially happen and to minimize any excess problems. Again, depending on how long you've been on it, which one you've been taking, you may have a ton of symptoms, you may have one or two, you may have more down the line, so it really is situational. So not necessarily, because what's going to help get your blood sugar in check is probably some carbohydrates as well. The ratios will vary from person to person, so I cannot provide macro suggestions. But if you're struggling with blood sugar, eating protein alone will cause just as much of a blood sugar response as eating carbohydrates alone. So they always need to be eaten together. So, the ratio will vary, but always eat them together and never alone. That's really what I would recommend.